Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Sam.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, yes. Donuts.
Oh, now I want a Krispy Kreme.
Why did the donut go to the dentist?
I don't know, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
To get a filling.
Oh, that's so obvious. How did I not get
I
that?
don't know.
What's your favourite filling?
Well, you see,
Oh, you don't like
I
donuts?
don't really like donuts.
Oh, I forgot that about you.
I like the occasional really, really epic donut, but in general, I would never choose a donut.
Donuts.
I will stop and breathe in your presence. Just breathe. Just breathe.
So, Sam, let's do our usual weekly recap of the week.
Recap of the week.
We'll begin with Monday. And I
It's a
believe
very good place to start.
I believe that this is the last episode dedicated to the wedding at Cana.
No!
I know, it's been quite the journey.
It has.
And in this episode, Ian began by talking about the fact that Jesus was 30 by this point and how the wedding at Cana and the water into wine was his first ever miracle.
Yeah.
And he focused in the episode on this verse at the end that says, "This act in Cana of Galilee was the first sign Jesus gave, the first glimpse of his glory." And then went on to talk about how Jesus was kind of content to live hidden until it was his time. And then kind of pose the question, well, what was God doing in that time? Where was he? And like look at the Old Testament and how God was always telling his people, I'm coming soon, up until the point where Jesus was born. And as we know, God's timing is very different to ours. For example, Abraham had to wait 25 years for Isaac to be born after God had promised him a son. I'd be pretty annoyed if I had to wait 25 years
Yeah.
for God to do something. But then again, I have had to wait a long time for certain things. So anyway, God's timing.
Sorry, just to interrupt. On
Okay.
Thursday, Ian talks a lot about, like, he makes reference to how long 400 years of waiting actually is. Like,
Well, we'd be dead.
yeah.
Yeah, imagine like you don't even get to see the promise fulfilled. It's like generations after you.
Mind-blowing.
God works in mysterious ways, as we know. And then after Jesus, after Pentecost, God tells people, he tells his followers that I am in the world by my spirit, and that we can look around and just see God at work in people and just in the world around us. But then, like, what was he actually doing in those 30 years? And I guess the main focus on it was about having faith and how we don't ever actually want to be told to just have faith. Like in our humanity, we want the answer now. We don't want to have to be patient and to wait. And we want the answer to our prayers the way we want it, when we want it. We basically just want God to answer the way that we think he should answer our prayers. But that in that 30-year gap, just because God wasn't sort of visibly at work, just because Jesus wasn't performing miracles, it didn't mean that God wasn't at work and he wasn't doing things.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that we couldn't see it. And actually Jesus, who is God, was walking the earth, which I just find that mind-blowing. Like God, he was walking the earth
Mm-hmm.
for all of that time, and obviously like the 3 years afterwards, but people didn't realise it. And how that is a picture for us to hold on to, that sometimes God's at work in ways that we can't understand or wouldn't understand, even if he's like literally staring us in the face, waving flashing lights. And that made me think of Ian's podcast last week when he talked about how Jesus didn't even get a thank you or acknowledgement that he was the one who performed the miracle. So even like when it was staring people in the face, I didn't realise. But yeah, I guess just that aspect of faith and trusting in God was what Monday was all about. And just a good reminder that God's ways and thoughts are higher above than our ways. And walking with him is just a lesson in learning to have faith and trusting even when we can't see.
Yeah. And on Thursday, Ian expanded on that idea with, like, the time where we are waiting for him and spend time questioning, where are you in this time? Why aren't you answering my questions? It's not because he's left us, but he said the line, we feel like we're left alone, but in reality, God has entrusted us with his silence for an apparent reason. Perhaps silence is more of a pause where we are invited to pursue God and seek out personal reflections.
Oh, that's good.
This made me think of when we had that really warm weather.
Oh, yes. The sweltering heat.
And he posed the question of why is water so much more refreshing when we are really, really thirsty? Like the time of waiting just makes the answer so much sweeter and refreshing. Like the time of the 400 years of waiting between the Old and the New Testament, where God's quietness was preparing the world to receive his Son. Waiting is never easy, but always has a purpose and an end.
It's good, that.
So yeah, Tuesday. Be the centre. It's a very old song, isn't it? When did you say it was written? 1998?
99, I think.
99.
Long live the 90s, man.
When I was just a young lad. Oh.
When you were just a young warthog.
When I was a young warthog. Oh, the shame. Has changed my name. I get downhearted. I love that song. This is about farting. You talked about going to Vineyard Church.
Yes.
Where you've got donuts.
Oh, yes, jam
Is Vineyard
donuts.
famous for donuts?
I think it's a thing that they do, or certainly they used to do.
I've never been to Vineyard. So
Yeah, I don't know if it was just that church, but I've definitely been to others where they've had donuts.
maybe that's a sign
But absolutely delish.
how to get people through the doors of the
Jam
church.
donut.
I loved how in this episode you said the song transports you back to intimate moments with Jesus. I think that's such an important thing to keep doing as Christians, to keep remembering the wonder that we feel about Jesus and keep igniting our love for him. Because walking with Jesus is a daily decision to say yes to him and to say yes to following him and to say yes to keeping him at the centre to guide our paths. And loving him is like number one on the list of jobs for the day. Jesus said that himself. What's the most important commandment? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, power, all the above.
All the things.
All the things. So if you can tick off that on your list of to-dos on the day, then it's a good job really, haven't you?
Wednesday was your episode, Sam, talking about Freddie Flintoff and his Field of Dreams.
Yes.
I kind of want to go and watch that documentary now, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's on
series.
BBC,
Yeah.
on iPlayer. Yeah.
It just sounds really fascinating, just what he's trying to do to get kids from, is it deprived backgrounds, or just in estates, or non-cricket players?
Kind of deprived backgrounds, but there was a scene in it where the kids had read the blurb for it, and the blurb was getting kids from deprived backgrounds into cricket. But they were like, I don't want to be known as deprived. I'm not deprived, but I just don't like cricket.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting. I mean, they were from families who maybe didn't have as much money as other people, but they wouldn't class themselves as deprived.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah,
Maybe less privileged.
more giving kids the opportunity to play cricket that wouldn't normally.
But I liked what you said. We read out the parable of the sower and the seed, and you said, although Freddie's not planting the seed of the gospel, he's planting something he's passionate about and giving people purpose, and his persistence paid off. And I suppose that is a really good challenge for us all about, I guess, not just planting the seed of the gospel, because we've talked a lot about that recently, I feel like, with discipleship and evangelism and that sort of thing. But actually the things that we're passionate about is part of who God has made us to be. And you said, I'm just going to read it because it was good. He said, if we can use what we're passionate about, what God has made us passionate about and given us the gift for, how amazing and powerful that could be. That is a message that has kept coming up for me personally, time and time again recently. And I think someone, it's probably Jez actually, he does like to give me feedback, but said to me, like, oh, if you're not using the gifts God's given you, then that's kind of selfish, because he's put that stuff in you not just for yourself but for everyone else around you. And I think what you were talking about in the episode, and to do with the gospel and to do with our passions, is a bit of a kick up the bum really, isn't it, to be like, actually God's put this stuff in us not just for our benefit, because what is the use of that, but it's for his glory and for the people around us. And it's not always going to be easy, as you said, but that we need to keep having perseverance. And that's the same when we're kind of telling people about Jesus or living our lives openly in front of others, is that's not always going to be an easy thing, but we need to keep going with it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I liked that you said was, I think it was at the start, the boys not wanting to play because they had these preconceived ideas that they thought cricket was a posh sport. But once they actually got involved and participated, their attitude changed. And I think that is something that we can all maybe relate to at some point in life, to do with, I don't know, an idea that we might have or an attitude that we have towards something when we haven't actually experienced the reality of it for ourselves. But then when we put ourselves out there and actually get stuck in or participate in something or get to know that person or, well, you know, in whatever context, then actually like our attitude towards it can change, and we can, to put it in God terms, like catch God's heart for something.